you're trying to create a narrative for that person or project that feels like them, relatable, inspiring, and also maybe a little bit surprising.
Welcome to Style Stories, brought to you by Easy Living Interiors, helping you transform your space and create the feeling of home. Hello and welcome to Style Stories. We're recording today from our Sandyford flagship store in our gorgeous parlour room, and we're so pleased to be joined by the brilliant Orla Neligan, writer, editor and founder of creative media company Cornershop. Orla's career has spanned magazines, newspapers and brand storytelling, always with a sharp eye for what makes something or someone stand out. Through Cornershop, she brings together her love of words, visuals and big ideas to help brands find their voice in meaningful ways. Orla's thoughtful, curious and full of creative insight, and we're so looking forward to this conversation. So welcome, Orla. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
It's so lovely to be here.
Yeah, and to have you here again. You've been into the store a couple of times, and seeing as our garden room has just come in now, so you've kind of been able to see the store in different seasons and different ways. So it's great to have you here again.
Yeah, I had a little nose. I came up early and had a little browse around. It looks great. The store looks amazing.
Thank you. That's all down to Sarah Dunn, the amazing store visual merchandiser. Her talent is just endless. So yeah, we're really excited to be filming in this gorgeous room.
Yeah, it's a great room.
Okay, so I'll kick things off with some introductory questions.
Okay.
You've had such a rich and varied career, working as a stylist, writer, creative director and more. What originally drew you to the world of creative storytelling?
I guess I've always been quite creative. I remember as a kid in school, I was always making comic books, actual books with drawings and stories in them. And then, as a teenager, I had a darkroom. My dad used to have photography equipment that he passed on to me. So I was always kind of mucking about with cameras, and I always loved the visual. And then I always had this thing in my head that I wanted to be a magazine editor. I was obsessed with magazines. I used to collect them. So then I became a magazine editor, and I was editing a food magazine at one stage, and we didn't have a budget for a stylist, so I did it myself. And from that, I kind of got asked to do a few gigs and kind of grew legs. But yeah, I think I've always had my foot in the creative world, even since I was a kid, really.
And do you still have those comic books that you spoke about?
I kept a few. And actually it was funny because I met a friend of mine the other day, and we were remembering school. We were talking about, we're 30 years out of it now. It shows my age. But she said, we used to order them from you. And I'd forgotten that. They used to put in orders for birthdays. Would you make this for my sister or whatever, with everyone in it? So yeah, it's funny. I have a few of them still. Yeah.
Very entrepreneurial.
Well, I should have sold them, shouldn't I?
They gather value though.
I know,
put them out of the archives. And
they're good to look back on. They're kind of funny.
But it's amazing to have those memories and to kind of you found your way into a career that obviously you were meant for. So that's amazing.
It was kind of creative writing, definitely. Anyway,
yeah,
so
amazing.
Yeah.
Your work now spans so many different areas: interiors, food, photography, branding. How do you bring all of that together in what you do today?
Yeah, I do kind of no day is the same, which is really lovely actually. A lot of my work would cross over. So I could be writing about something one week in interiors, and then the following week I might be photographing that product or working with the client in a production capacity. So it kind of gives you a more full rounded picture of what you're working on, and that informs what you're doing, I think. But ultimately, I think whether it's lifestyle, food, interiors, the aim is to sort of create something that sings, paying homage to the product, the person, and to make it feel elevated but relatable. So yeah, I think it's about kind of bringing that all together,
Mm-hmm. And what you say about something feeling elevated, I think in what you do, you make things very approachable. And a lot of your Instagram content that I've seen is multitasking items and how you can get something to do a few things for you. Yeah. And there's a real sense of anyone can be a stylist from the work that you do, which is brilliant. Yeah,
I think I do think it has to be authentic. I don't like things that are too contrived, even when I'm working on a composition, or whether that's a set or a cookbook, or it has to feel kind of real and relatable. Otherwise people switch off, I think, a little bit, or they might feel it's too aspirational and not for them. So I think it has to feel natural and real. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And do you think you kind of have a signature something? Is there anything that you see that you do in your work and you're like, that's my signature?
Yeah, I suppose you kind of, well, it depends really. I suppose you do bring an inherent style to everything that you do. I think you lean into that a bit. And I feel for me, it's more of the natural side of things, but with an eye on sort of detail and beauty. I'd like to think I bring that, but it really depends on the project, because it also has to reflect. If it's say I'm doing a TV set for a chef, it has to feel like they're reflected in that. So for example, if I am doing a set for a TV chef, I would meet with them, sometimes go to their house. We would pick things from their own house to bring to the set, so it feels like them. So yes, I bring my own style to things. It depends on what you're doing. It also has to really feel like, it's related to the product and the person that you're working with.
Totally. You've worked with big brands, small businesses, chefs, editors. Does each project feel totally different, or are there common threads you always bring to your work? We've just answered
I feel like there probably is a common thread, but it does have to feel different too, and relate to the person and the product.
Yeah, of course. And then always evolving, because everyone's style evolves. So you probably find that what you liked 5 years ago might be totally different to what you like now. And that's naturally going to come into your work as well.
Exactly. Yeah. There's definitely that, and you have to be moving with it as well. But also it's quite personal to the client, or, you have to be objective, and sometimes the client is too near the product and they want to steer it in a way, and you have to be able to say, I'm not sure that's right for the product either. So, to be sort of an umbrella view for them as well.
A balance.
Yeah.
We're going to kick things off with a design dilemma, where we tackle a listener submitted interior challenge. Our audience loves real practical advice, so we'd love your best tips and suggestions to help. Whether it's solving a tricky space or answering a common question, we know you'll have the perfect insights. So we have a listener called Marie. Now her daughter's communion is coming up, and she's wondering, you've shown in your work how you can style different things, and something can have 4 different functions. She's looking to style a tablescape for the communion, but she doesn't really want to spend any extra money, so she wants to use things she already has. What are your top tips to style a tablescape with things that you already have in your home?
I love a tablescape. Just have to say that. So there's lots of things you can do within it. You don't have to spend a lot of money to do them. Firstly, I would say, I use my everyday plates inside, outside. So don't be going out and buying. You can also layer different colours and plates. That's quite nice. Just not that everything doesn't have to match, basically. I love using greenery and flowers from the garden. And even if you don't want to use flowers, you could use a row of potted plants in the middle of your table to put in some really nice coloured glassware. If it's communion, you're outside, kind of bring that summer feel. Little personal touches are nice on a tablescape as well. It could be a sprig of greenery like eucalyptus, or a flower on everyone's plate, just to let them know you're thinking of them. And there's some lovely gold cutlery just to elevate it. If it's a kid's table, obviously you might not do that, but I think it's about layering and playing around with different textures, a nice runner in the middle of the table, and then bringing in your flowers and your greenery from the garden. You don't have to spend on that. Yeah.
I think as well, in summer, you can kind of let nature take the lead. Yeah. You can kind of let what the seasons are doing, and like you say, bring those natural elements. Go into the garden if you have things growing in the garden. You can use those.
Yeah, and I know I did a tablescape for someone who didn't want to use flowers, and we just used little pots of succulents in the middle of the table, and it was just really lovely. But they're the kind of things you'd have at home, inside your house, and even in the garden you can use.
Yeah, exactly. And like that, at communion, it's an expensive time. There's lots of other expenses, so it's amazing to be able to kind of do what you can with what you already have.
Yeah, totally.
Brilliant. Thank you. Well, best luck with the communion, Marie. Send us pictures. Next, we'll dive into Behind the Style, and this is all about you, Orla. We'll explore your personal journey and the formative moments that shaped your approach to interiors. You've shared before how much you love the storytelling element of interiors. What kind of stories are you most drawn to telling in your work?
I think whatever the project is, you're trying to create a narrative. So have you ever walked into a house or a hotel or a restaurant, and from the minute you step in the door, you're captured by a feeling that it is not necessarily what's right in front of you that you're looking at. It could be a combination of scent or sound and what the staff are wearing. It could be a patina on the wall, or a table with details on a mantelpiece. I think I just love capturing that sense of place and person, and how that's associated with a life, in the work that I do. So I think the stories I like feel sort of very much around quirky details or personal details, or it could be a place, a sense of a garden or a destination or something like that. I like kind of creating that feeling. So if I'm going through a house or if I'm sitting down at a table, I kind of try to ask myself, how do I want to feel if I'm sitting down at this table, or how do I want to feel in this space? And that sort of helps me create the narrative or the story.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, because feeling and visual, they're really interlinked. And it's funny, we're all about the feeling of home here, and that's what we like to create in our stores. We like to create that sense of, there's different room scenes, and there's different moods, and like you say, there's scent that goes into it. There's a very curated playlist in our store, and it's all about how do we want our customers to feel, and ultimately we want them to feel at home. And that comes a lot from, we're a family owned business, we're based out of Cork, and we've kind of grown very naturally over the 37 years we've been in business, so it's always been about the feeling of home, and that's what we always go back to. So totally relate to what you're saying there about project work, where it's who am I trying to represent here?
Yeah, exactly. And how do you capture that feeling and sell it in a way that's aspirational but relatable?
Exactly.
That's kind of the nutshell,
Yeah. You have such a natural approach to styling, but also a great eye for detail. What role does intuition play in how you create a space?
I think it's something, definitely does. I think it's something that you hone as you go. Like for me, being a magazine editor for a long time, that you're sort of, with the magazine story, it's about words and pictures. So it's a big picture. And I think that definitely helped train my eye as to how to lay out things and how they match and how they go together and flow. Mm-hmm. So I definitely think that helped. But intuition is something, it kind of comes, I think, with time, and it gets stronger as you go. I'm kind of 30 years doing it now. So I know when I look at a composition now, straight away, I know if something's off. Yeah. It could be the scale or a colour or a texture or whatever, but you kind of know, your eye knows straight away.
Totally. And I think as well, there's a balance. If you're doing something for the real life eye, there's nearly a different composition to what you do for the photography side of it, because things can look different in a photo than they will to the eye. Definitely. So there's a real balancing to it.
Yeah, there definitely is. Yeah, for sure.
You're often working across food, interiors and lifestyle. Do you think your style remains consistent across all of these, or does it shift depending on the subject?
As I said before, I think I think you lean into that sort of inherent style, like the things that you matter to you, like the authenticity of something or the natural bent, But I do think what's lovely is that my work is so different, and every project is different, and it should feel a little bit different, and that is very much steered by the client, the product, the person. As I said, like if I'm doing a set kitchen for a chef, it has to feel like that person belongs in that set, and it doesn't feel like there's it's too much of a clash. So I think you have to be objective and be able to relate it to the person or the product as well.
Your home feels grounded and full of personality. What experiences have shaped how you live and style your own space?
My home is in dire need of an upgrade, but it's home for now. I've been going up and down to Kerry since I was a kid, because my parents have a house there. They live there now. So I definitely think there's nods to the rustic seaside living. Like there's a lot of wood and natural textures and earthy colours. And then I've travelled quite a bit with my job as a journalist. So I'd say it's definitely interspersed with bits I've brought home from my travels, like there's a bedspread from France or coral from Australia on a shelf. There's those little things. And I think that's lovely, because it adds a personal layer to the house, I think, that every house needs. There's a bit of a storied history to things, and that's what makes a home as well, And
do you have a favourite item, like maybe something you picked up on your travels, piece of artwork?
I'd say I have a mirror, my granny's mirror. It's not spectacular by any means. It's quite rudimentary, but I loved her. And so that's in my sitting room. And a few little pieces of art. I have a lovely little watercolour from my parents' house from an artist called Linda Kyohan. Tiny little picture that I love. And there's a print actually. When my parents sold their house, they gifted me this print. It's a David Hockney print, but when I was a kid, it's the Mr. and Mrs. Clark and Percy print. I don't know if you notice, but I used to think it was them because we had a white cat, and there was a white cat in the picture. And Mrs. Clark had this bathrobe that was exactly like my mum's. So I used to love that. But then I realised when I got older, my mum never had blonde hair, so it couldn't have been her. So I was like, oh, maybe not. But I just love that print. So that's come everywhere with me, and it'll move to the next house if we move as well. So yeah.
It's funny, those little things that like your childhood brain will kind of make up, and then like you fully believe them.
Oh, totally. I was convinced that was our cat in the picture and that was them. Didn't look anything like them, but I was like, it must be them because that's the cat.
I love that.
So yeah,
it's amazing now that you have that.
Yeah,
and you get to look at it.
Yeah, I have it in, and we've still got the old frame around it, which is nice. Like it's a kind of 80s frame, but I love it.
Now let's talk about what inspires you today. In the mood board, we'll explore how your style has evolved over the years. We're curious about the things you're drawn to right now, and we'll discuss the ideas, materials, and inspiration shaping how you think about home today. Your styling content often shows how one item can be used in many different ways, from trays to baskets. What draws you to those kind of creative, multifunctional pieces?
Well, I guess I'm all for the homogenized furniture. It has its place. I have some of it too. I mean, it's good in some respects, but I do love the idea of repurposing something so that we're not always thinking we have to buy. Like it's just about reframing something maybe. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you move something from one room to another, you see it in a different light. Mm-hmm. You see it, oh, actually that piece could be used this way in this room, whatever. Mm-hmm. And like trays are quite good for that. Trays can be moved to different rooms. They're really good styling tools for pulling all your bits and bobs together, making them look organised, but also like a vignette, so like a mini display that looks pretty. So they're quite, I like the idea that you don't always have to, go online or go to a shop and buy something, that you can repurpose what you have too,
Totally. And I've heard you talk about books and how books can be such amazing styling pieces. And I kind of, I know this from styling, but maybe it's something that I wouldn't have thought to do in my own home, but it's like, I love reading, like I'm such a reader, but all the books, they have these amazing spines and, they really can be gorgeous pieces, and they tell a lot about you as a person, and it shows your interests. So that's definitely something I've picked up from you, is how you can use books differently, and even just in terms of like the varying heights you can use them for on the side table. Amazing. So
yeah, definitely. That they're good for, they're little plinths for styling or highlighting, little objects you might like, and I know it sounds silly, but when I'm maybe sounds silly, I don't know, but when I'm styling sets, sometimes it's really important for me to choose the right size and spine of a book, color wise and everything.
Yes,
so it's all important as how it layers and looks in a space as well.
Yeah, we did a shoot before, and it was kind of an editorial shoot, and we just had our mind set on our creative manager Emma Murphy, who's on mat leave at the moment. We were like, we want Emma to be posed in such a way on one of our sofas where she's holding the book over her face, but she needs to look really relaxed, and the book needs to be at the perfect position. But it was just that idea of concealing, but having the book that said a lot about Emma and who she was in this image. So it was the book kind of did the talking.
Yeah, it has to sort of be the right prop, I think,
Totally. Yeah, 100%. And also books, once you've read them, they have a longer life. You can do more with them.
No, absolutely. And they look great, different ways on shelves. You could have them stacked vertically or horizontally together with objects on them. So they're actually very handy styling tools as well.
You've said before that we often already have what we need to style a space. It's about seeing things differently. Can you tell us about a time you shopped your own home and found a totally new idea in something you already owned?
That's a really good question. Shop my own home. So there's a few things. I don't know if this totally applies, but it kind of does. I had a stack of hats in my room collecting dust. They were stacked inside each other. You couldn't even see them. But I got some hooks and I hung them on my bedroom wall. So it's a big display wall of hats now. So I know it's not very useful, but it's a display wall, I guess. The same would go for this rattan basket that I had. I actually ordered it for a shoot, but I didn't look at the size properly, and when it arrived it was massive. Like, it was the biggest rattan basket I've ever seen, and couldn't use it for the shoot, but I ended up using it in the kitchen actually for a while with like utensil jars in it and like kind of holding things, and then I hung it on a wall as a display because it was actually really lovely, some seagrass kind of rattan style. So that I repurposed it, which was nice.
I love rattan.
Yeah.
It's so good and it's such a hard working
it
material.
is. Yeah.
Rugs are amazing as well. Sorry, I'm thinking jute.
Jute rugs, but similar, definitely similar. That natural fabric kind of vibe, it's really, and it goes with most spaces as well.
It does. Yeah, definitely like the natural elements. You can never go wrong because it's not a trend. Natural is always going to be here. So jute baskets, they can even be amazing as planters.
Yeah, they were. You see the rattan thing kind of being stretched quite a lot in the last few years, kind of hitting a lot of things like lampshades or lamp bases. So I think it's actually a lovely trend, and it's a bit more timeless than a lot of other ones as well.
Definitely, and I think that's kind of key. Is like trends can come and go, but it's kind of, there's things that will always be classics.
Yeah,
and again, it's material. Leather is a huge classic. Really good timbers.
Yeah.
Once you have those foundational kind of materials in a space, you can add in maybe a lovely vase like we have here in
and
front
this lovely
of us.
velvet couch, which is gorgeous.
Yeah, well, this is our Scott. We love it very much.
It's stunning, isn't it?
The green velvet is definitely a fan favourite. Comes in a burnt orange, comes in the leather, the navy. So like that, you can have fun in some ways and be a little bit daring, but your backdrop of kind of natural materials, and you can never really go wrong.
No, you can't. No, definitely, they're very versatile. Yeah,
totally. You're also a brilliant cook and food stylist. How does that influence the way you set a table or design an outdoor dining moment?
I wouldn't say I'm a brilliant cook, but I like entertaining. I like tablescapes, as I said before. And like I mentioned, I don't bring any of my really good ceramics home because they get a bit wrecked, but I would use the everyday stuff and I would mix it up. So, and I use what I have like that, the flowers from the garden, the greenery. I do like to anchor the table with like a nice runner and linen runner, just keeps it kind of natural. And then I would layer that sort of a nice centerpiece. That could be a big bowl of fruit, or it could be, a big vase of something or a potted plant. And then you kind of intersperse it with little candles or bud vases, or layer all your plates, play around with glassware. It could be a mismatch of vintage glassware or colour glassware. Yeah, and then lots of candlelight if you're, in the evening. Candles, if all else fails, so candles are a good styling tool to have.
And I mean, they're such a multitasker because you're adding scent, you're adding a mood, different heights, different candle holders. Yeah, you can never go wrong. And it also just sets that atmosphere, that ambience, and makes everyone kind of feel it's more intimate.
Yeah, definitely more intimate. It's really atmospheric to have the twinkling lights in the evening. Yeah.
Do you have a favourite candle scent?
I have lots of different candles, actually. I don't really have a favourite candle scent. What's the one? I'm trying to think. A Field Day do a lovely one that I'm loving at the moment, and I can't even remember the name of it. And there's a few Max Benjamin candles that I have that are lovely actually as well. They do a destination range that is one called Bazaar, which is like a kind of Moroccan. It's really nice, yeah. So try to light candles when I can, but then I don't trust the children.
Oh yeah, of course.
Blow them out, yeah.
I don't trust myself.
No, exactly. Actually, that's more to the point. I don't trust myself.
My favourite is Mission Fig Le Bougie.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, and there's actually a gorgeous perfume as well.
Yeah,
it's stunning.
Mission Fig Bougie are great. Yeah,
it's really good. We actually started retailing with Le Bougie last year. My whole family got Mission Fig for Christmas. Yeah, they were like, okay, you've done this one now. Back to the point of multifunctioning. A good candle in really nice packaging. Yeah, that could be a little jewellery holder, like a little ring holder. Like you can keep, like, they're pieces of glassware as well, and you can hold on to them. Yeah,
we've decanted like candle holders, wash them out and reuse them for like makeup brushes or things like that. Yeah,
that's another great one as well. My makeup brushes are just in a makeup bag.
Yeah,
and
it's nice to be able to have them to
display them. Exactly, yeah, totally. With Cornershop, you've built a brilliant creative media company that brings together branding, editorial, styling and visual storytelling. We want to delve into your creative world, sharing your insights gained from your impressive career journey. And before we get onto that, I loved like the wording on Cornershop, like even the like, hi, I'm Orla.
I think that it's so old now, Laura. I have to say it needs to be very updated. I feel like that was another me back then. But your website's always the last thing you get to. I feel like I've been talking about doing it up for so long. Like it's missing so much stuff. But anyway, it's a presence, I suppose. I suppose, when I did it, I was trying to, you just want to feel like yourself. I've read too many websites where it's a bit of hyperbole, and it's brochure speak, or the person it sounds like unattainable, or they're not relatable. And I think that's something I'm always kind of mindful of, that you don't want it to feel too contrived, or, you want it to feel natural, I suppose.
Yeah. And I guess because in what you do, you're going to be working with people closely. Yeah. And you want to represent yourself from the first impression, because it's you and your work and who you are. Absolutely. So it makes sense to represent that. Yeah. But I really enjoyed my browse on the Cornershop anyway.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'm going to send you my new website and you can give me your
fabulous.
Whenever I get around to doing it. You can be my proofreader.
That's fantastic. Cornershop does such a variety of work, from interiors and lifestyle to food and set design. What's your favourite kind of brief to receive?
Oh my God, that's a good question. My favourite type of brief, I think the quirkier the better. I do like to be pushed out of my comfort zone. I like a challenge. I've done some really fun stuff. I like when it's playful and you get to play a bit. I've been up a cherry picker in an orchard, picking the right tree for a Bulmer's ad.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, exactly. It had to be the right tree. But I actually work with this publisher called Nine Bean Rose, Kristen Jensen, who's brilliant. And she just lets you have fun with a lot of the projects. We did a book for Oisin Davis. It was the brief was Irish kitchen cocktails you can make at home, but with an 80s bent. So I really loved that brief because we got to play around with 80s props. So we had I think one of the cocktails we had an 80s style ashtray with an actual lit cigarette in it. And we had, one was called the Holy Trinity. So we had rosary beads and 80s style coasters, and it was fun getting those props actually. So the quirkier the better, and a bit of fun and playfulness. I kind of like those briefs.
Yeah, and it's kind of throw out the rule book.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw the kitchen sink at it.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're very constrained as a stylist or a creative director, you're boxed in a bit. When you're allowed that freedom, a lot more can come to the table, I feel. And it's nice when clients recognize that and they can give you that freedom to do it, And
I feel like trust is key here as well, because, you've been doing this and you're an expert in your field. So trust, I think, makes all the difference as well. And that gives you that ability to really go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and obviously that comes down to the team you're with as well, that you all kind of trust each other and you collaborate well together. And I work with quite a lot of different creatives on different projects. And also not to take things personally, that if someone's opinion doesn't align with your own, it's, that's okay. And that there's a creative pool there that's bigger and better when you're working together. And it's a shared goal to make it great,
Yeah.
So ego has to be removed from it completely.
Yeah.
And just trust each other and work together.
Yeah, totally. And sometimes challenge is good. Sometimes it can be good.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Challenge is good.
And collaboration as well.
Yeah. Collaboration is key in my work. I work with a lot of different people, as I said. So you have to be able to listen and adapt and work together, and but also steer it when you need to do it.
Exactly. You've worked with everyone from chefs to corporate clients. How do you approach shaping a visual identity for someone else's brand, personality or story?
We've probably touched on this a bit, in the sense that you're trying to create a narrative for that person or project that feels like them. That's, relatable, inspiring, and also maybe a little bit surprising. So you're maybe trying to redefine things in a way that hasn't been seen before. So it's new and fresh and interesting, but also feels like them. So that's kind of, you try and work with them, get to know them, their interests, their, design likes, or if it's a product, it's how does that want to be perceived by people, or how can you make that, interesting in a way that hasn't been before, that kind of thing, really. It's down to the individual, I think, as well, that who's behind it.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you have maybe questions that you ask someone like, what's your favourite song? What's your favourite colour? What's your favourite,
Yeah, I suppose I spend a bit Well, you don't always get the luxury of spending time with every single client or person, but I would try and meet with them. And even if certainly if it's a TV show where it's a set and they're going to be, it has to really represent them. I go to their house, like I said, and I would see what their interests are. And we talk a lot about, what food they like, or what they like doing, like where do they shop in terms of interiors and things like that. Because that gives me a real steer as to where their likes are and where do they go on holidays, or, their interests, things like that. Yeah.
And you do quite a bit of TV work. Yeah. Do you find like you enjoy kind of the liveness of it?
So yeah, we did it sometimes. It depends. No, definitely I do. I love the TV work, but a lot of my work tends to be before the live kicks off. So we've been on shows where we've had to change sets. Like we've had like maybe an hour to flip the sets.
Wow.
Which is quite can be quite stressful, but fun and really challenging. But you just have to be super organized. Sometimes we make these rolling walls where there's a different set on the back, so you're able to just flip it around if it's a case that's what you need. So it's just about forward planning a lot and making sure that all those boxes are ticked and
It's nearly like, and here's one I prepared at home.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of thing.
A Blue Peter job with a set scale.
Exactly. We might have to get one of those in our studio.
Yeah, they're great. I'd highly recommend them.
You often collaborate with a team, from photographers to stylists and writers. What do you think makes a creative collaboration really sing?
Yeah, I think we talked about this a little bit, just about, when the team is working together, that you have to respect each other's opinions without taking things personally if they don't align with your own, to remove the ego out of it, that it's, you have to remember that the goal is to create something amazing you all can be proud of. So that has to be the end goal and not your own ego and what you think, or, so it's team effort always. And I'm lucky that I work with a really lovely group of creatives that we tend to repeat work. So we come back together, and I love that. I love that it jumps around to different people, and I think, creatives worth their salt get that as well. They kind of understand that it is collaborative, and you have to sort of step back and let other people have their say. And as I said, when the creative pool is bigger, it can be better. You know, it's not just one person's opinion. So
I've heard a word used a bit as well, which is schlep. Like there's a bit of schlep involved.
Oh, there's a bit of schlep, yeah.
A bit of schlep.
Definitely a bit of schlep involved in production, for sure. It's not as glamorous as everyone thinks. Yeah. Sometimes it's really nice, but there's a lot of work that's unseen, the invisible work that goes in before something is pulled together. So when you see a cookbook or you see a set, so many moving parts to that before you even get to that point. Yeah.
And that's how you know it's done really well. If it looked like it was seamless and it was easy, that's how you know. And that's, I think, and it's like you said about, that feeling of pride. Pride is so important. And it's like when you get to step back from something, and it could be your photo in a magazine, it could be it could be a billboard, it could be anything. Yeah. But that sense of all those pieces that had to work down to like a delivery driver or there's so much that goes into it, and it can be like liaising with the venue and sourcing the product. Yeah. So that feeling of pride is there's nothing like it.
There's so many steps. So you must find that in here with Easy Living, like it's the same thing when you're putting together this room set. There's so many moving parts to any job, really. Yeah. And much of it is invisible to the end user.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And listen, that's what it is when you have someone that comes in and they get to see it and they're like, they get a sense of that person. Yeah. We often have people come in and they're like, who styled this room? And again, I've mentioned Sarah, our visual merchandiser, but it's that end result where people get to kind of, it's that pride that comes from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's always a team effort,
Totally.
It's Sarah, I'd say, her eye, but all of you are involved in that, and pulling that together.
100%.
So, yeah.
You do a lot of behind the scenes work, shaping how others people's stories are told. How has running Cornershop shaped how you tell your own story, creatively or personally?
I'd say it definitely has. I don't know if that's tangible in a way that like there's an A to Z as to how that happened, but I'm detail driven, definitely, and I have to be organised from a production point of view. and a writing point of view. So I think that informs definitely my personal side, because there's an eye on detail definitely in how I organise myself, or, you know, I'd like to say my house is a bit of a mess at the moment, but, you know, I try.
That's life, isn't
That's
it?
life.
And that's the joy of it.
That's life.
Yeah.
So, and I think, you know, I love creating things that feel aspirational, but not, as I said, too aspirational. Like I like to be grounded, and it has to feel a bit natural. So I think that comes into play in how I live my life, hopefully, as well. Nothing's too fussy or contrived, hopefully. You know, that's how I like to live.
Relaxed.
Yeah, I think so. Sometimes. Sometimes it's relaxed, sometimes it's not.
It's time for a quick fire round. We'll ask you 5 quick questions to get your top tips, favourite things and style preferences.
Great.
No need to overthink it. This round is about first instincts.
Okay.
What's your favourite TV show to unwind with?
Okay, there's a few, I think. Do I have time for a few?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm watching The White Lotus at the moment. I'm really enjoying that. I'm kind of near the end. With my girls, we kind of revisit the Gilmore Girls, because it's kind of a comfort watch, that one. And I love the whole 90s style at the moment. And I'm rewatching Mad Men actually at the moment. 10 years ago.
You're the second person to say that
Really?
this week. I'm rewatching Mad Men
Are
at the
you?
moment. Yes.
Aren't you loving the sets?
Yes.
I love it anyway, but the writing,
know.
but the sets. I
I'm
kind of
on
went
season-
back and looked at them all, and
Yes.
it's like that 60s mid-century,
Yeah.
like Don Draper's office with the bar cart and the sofa for napping on.
Yeah.
And the wood paneling and the
Yeah.
wallpaper. It's just amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah. So I've been really enjoying that. I think that, and then we watch with the kids. I kind of watch Whose Line Is It Anyway, because that's, I think, a light relief. If we've nothing else to watch, we'll stick one of those on, because it's just funny, you know.
Yeah. I'll recommend one to you, The Studio.
Oh,
it's
I've
on
heard
Apple
that's
TV.
brilliant.
Yeah, Seth Rogen. I think you'll enjoy it just from
I've
the point
heard
of like
that's really
creative
good.
work, and it's like film industry executive, and it's behind the scenes of the shoots and the filmmaking and all of that. I think you'd really enjoy it. But
Someone else told me about that. That's next on my list, definitely.
very
I'll watch
good.
that, yeah.
Easy, 30 minutes digestible, zone out. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Loved it.
good, I'll watch that.
Favourite place to eat, anywhere from a hidden gem to a regular go-to?
Well, a friend of mine, Kevin, owned the Wild Goose in Ranelagh, which was a regular of ours, and I loved that restaurant, but he's since sold it, so I'll have to find a new one. I had a couple of really nice meals in Row Wines recently. That was kind of fun. The food's always really good. The atmosphere is lovely in there as well. It's a bit fun, you know. I had a lovely family birthday meal in Alta, which was really nice. And then with the kids, probably pie pizza has been great, and pie in Dundrum, because you can bring the dog. So they're the kind of regulars. We tend to cook at home a lot though, so don't go out that much.
Favourite song that you're playing on repeat at the moment?
Oh my God, song. I'm playing the Fleetwood Mac Rumours. I'm such a 70s girl. Like I love all that sort of era of music. I have that playing in the background a lot in the kitchen. So Fleetwood Mac Rumours is playing a lot.
Silver Springs, though, is going through a real moment at the moment.
Yeah.
That song, everyone loves it. I love it.
I think it was on an ad or something, was it? Because it seems like I've heard it loads.
Yeah,
familiar.
it's on everywhere. Fleetwood Mac, I actually got to see them in Dublin a couple of years back. Stevie Nicks was there, but Lindsay Buckingham wasn't. But it was still amazing.
I'm sorry I missed that now. That would have been great.
Yeah. So we're watching the same TV, we're listening to the same songs.
Laura, and you're going to read my website.
Fantastic. Favourite holiday destination, the one you go back to or dream about going to?
I would say last year we went to Greece. We went to this tiny island in Greece called Skopolis, where they filmed the Mamma Mia movies. And we'd been to Crete like the previous couple of years, and there's bigger hotels and resorts. And I just wanted a real slice of authentic Greek life. And we got it there. It was amazing. It's the greenest island in Greece. So there's no hotels really. It's just small villages, lovely coves and beaches. So that was really special. We had an Airbnb there and we did a lovely holiday. So I definitely go back there, I think. Yeah, and we go to Kerry a lot because it's home from home. So
physically at easy living interiors, mentally in Greece.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Destination shoot.
We'll just go to the garden room.
Yeah,
perfect.
There you go.
What's your number one way to spend a day off, no work, in the summer?
No work. I would take a long walk on the beach with the dog. I would go for a swim. This is provided it's going to be sunny, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'd picnic maybe on the beach with the kids. I'd have a garden party, drink rosé in the sunshine, watch an outdoor movie, something like that, I'd say. That would be a good day, I think.
Sounds like a great day.
Yeah.
Sold.
Yeah.
So to close out the episode, we'll ask for your best take-home tip. Now, I'm going to ask you your opinions here because I don't know if we've kind of covered this enough in the episode. What's one simple styling idea or mindset that anyone can bring into their home, no matter their space, budget or experience?
I would say to include or add something natural or organic to a space. It helps ground it, helps it feel natural and relatable, and adds personality as well. With art as well, to try and work in art into any budget. Like, that doesn't have to be an expensive piece of art. That could be a photograph or a trinket you've picked up on your holidays. But art really has a way of not just decorating, but elevating a space and connecting it to the person, the personality. It brings a story, you know, so I think art's really important as well.
I saw that you dressed up as Bob Ross for Halloween.
I did dress up as Bob Ross. I thought I made a very good Bob Ross. I painted my beard on with brown paint, which wasn't so great, but took a while to come off. But yeah, I love Bob Ross.
I love Bob Ross
in
as
our
well.
house.
Yeah, I followed the tutorials. I'll sit there, and that's my best day off no work. Just sat there watching Bob Ross. There's no mistakes. There's only happy accidents.
Oh, happy accidents.
Love that.
Oh, I love Bob Ross. Yeah, I tend to go all out for Halloween. I'm a bit of a Halloween freak. I did the previous year, I was Elliot from UT, and I literally walked around the neighbourhood with the handlebars. And the year before that, I was the girl with the pearl earring with a full gilt frame, which I also walked around the neighbourhood with. I mean, my kids think I'm mental. They're like, Mum, have you planned your Halloween outfit yet? I am. It's July. I'm doing it now.
Obsessed. Can you share? Can you divulge
I don't
what
know
you're
what I'm
planning?
going to do this year. I still have to plan that, yeah. But yes, I'm a bit obsessed with Halloween. So Bob Ross was, it was well planned.
Yeah. Oh, there's nothing like Bob Ross.
Yeah, love him.
Thank you, Orla.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it. That was an
really
amazing
enjoyable.
chat, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I
Thank
really
you so
enjoyed that.
much.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you for joining us on Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors. You can hear all the news, including links to more information, in the description area of this podcast. Please share our show with a friend who might enjoy it. Simply search Style Stories with Easy Living Interiors on Apple, Spotify or YouTube. This podcast is produced by justpod.io for Easy Living Interiors.